So not to make this evening a bummer, but I'm going to do a little bit on what is going on in terms of what kind of things that kids are using. And just to show you a little bit of percentages, looking at the California Healthy Kids Survey for the school district, and really the statistics, percentages of kids using substances aren't that different across the South Bay, and really they're not that different nationally. In fact, they're actually a little bit more, but they're not that different, so don't feel horrible when you hear the numbers. But the survey shows that 8% of 7th graders have tried drugs or alcohol at least once, 8%. And then we look at 9th graders, it goes to 31%. So you see the jump. It's the real at-risk time there going into the high school, giant fishing pool, new relationships, new temptations, and all that. Those percentages, as the grades go on, they go up. So that's 9th graders, right? So it says 18%. So they go up, and by the time kids are juniors or seniors, it's 45, 50%. This is reportedly or higher, are actively using substances. So using substances, drinking alcohol, using different drugs is really part of our culture. It's part of our community. It's part of our society. It's unfortunate, but it's part of it. So challenging that and trying to go against the current is what we're talking about tonight. There was a survey in the South Bay done a few years ago that asked parents, how many of you feel like your kids' friends use drugs? And the result was like 78% of parents felt like their kids' friends use drugs. And then next question was, how many of you feel like your kids use substances? It was 9%. It's always those other kids. So that's kind of astonishing, right? So you look at what's going on with the parents. We don't want to know, or we'd rather not know, or we believe our kids, or the kids are very clever and they fool us. But many parents don't know what's going on for a long time before they find out. 6 months to a year is the usual national average before they find out. So we're here tonight to try to increase that awareness there. And it's great that you have younger kids if you're here at this school, because you have a chance prevention-wise to try to intervene and try to prevent that increased percentage getting into your family. So usually the first things kids are going to use is drinking alcohol, and where they'll get that is probably from any house, or for the high school kids, so many adults provide alcohol for teens to have parties or kickbacks or hangouts together. So usually that's one of the first things someone who's gone through addiction or got addicted started with, is that, as well as another entry substance would be nicotine. And nicotine has just really gotten a lot more popular with the vapes and the e-cigs. And marijuana now, it's not a drug dealer giving it to kids. It's usually someone's older brother or sister that has a club card and they can get it, or kids get fake IDs now to get a marijuana card, not to get into a club and go dancing. So marijuana is very common, and a lot of the marijuana now is, you mentioned 5 times stronger. It's off the charts, because a lot of this they can get just the pure THC liquid. So it's also called dabs. It's called wax. They put it in a little pen like this that they carry around at school, and it looks like nothing, and they can just go like that. There's no smoke. There's no vape. And it's 95% THC. So THC is classified as a hallucinogenic, as like LSD is a hallucinogenic. It alters perception of reality. There's many kids, the first time they take marijuana, they eat an edible, they eat it, and digest it that way, or they do like a dad thing. And that is, a lot of times they end up in the ER because they have a horrible experience, because it's like taking an LSD drug for a lot of people that aren't used to it, or they don't have a tolerance built up. So marijuana in that concentrated form is really powerful, really dangerous. Even kids that smoke all the time, they do that and they're just like out of it for 2 days. And the other, as John said, is medications. So the first medications, prescription meds that kids might get into will probably be maybe an ADD medication, and the kind that have a stimulant in them, not the one that doesn't have a stimulant. So Adderall, Vyvanse, things like that, it may be their prescription, it may be their friend's prescription. But if you ask a kid who has a prescription, if kids ask them to buy a pill from them, kids will say yes. Kids know who have prescriptions, who can get them. So the stimulant in the medication is really powerful. And then Continuing with the medication then would be Xanax is really common in the high school years. Now, a lot of the stuff is not happening at the middle school. Fortunate for that. There probably are some kids beginning to get into it, but it's a lot more in the teen years. Xanax is a mild tranquilizer, and many doctors give it for all kinds of stuff, anxiety and this and that, and it really relaxes it. And kids are doing that as almost as much as they're doing anything. And when you mix Xanax with alcohol, it has a multiplication effect. It becomes a different drug. And there was a boy 2 weeks ago that died because he had a lot of Xanax and he had a lot of alcohol, and he didn't wake up in the morning. So Xanax is really powerful. And pain medication. I had a tooth pulled last year. The doctor gave me 30 hydrocodones. I looked at that. I go, wow, 30 of them. I had a lot of pain. And if you want to hear the story, I'll tell you anyway. I took one, and I was like, oh, that helped a lot. But I still had a lot of pain. So I took another one, and it knocked me out. And the next morning, I felt like, wow, that felt really good. And I looked at that bottle, and I go, wow, that doctor gave me 30. Is that guy kidding? I mean, if I took this every day for 3 days, I'm sure I'd be locked into wanting to take it. I did not take it, don't worry. So, prescription drugs, you have to pay attention where you leave your drugs or where they are, grandparents, prescriptions in the house, and not leave them around. You have to monitor them. Same with your alcohol. Doesn't mean your kids are going to become criminals and steal your alcohol, but other kids look for it and they may want to take it. And they may want to steal it and they may want to drink it because they're curious, because it feels good, because it relaxes you, because it takes away your inhibitions, et cetera, et cetera. Everything as a drug, it works, otherwise people wouldn't do it. It alters their state of reality, and that's a positive motivation for people to continue. So, continuing further, kids advance more besides the initial things of alcohol, nicotine, marijuana, medications, prescription drugs, might be cough syrup that has different kind of drugs in it. And then kids will advance onto more stimulants like MDMA, ecstasy, Molly, which is really like an amphetamine or methamphetamine. Kids go to raves and they do that, or dances. They stay up all night. And then there's something called a spice, which is synthetic marijuana. It's horrible for you. It's toxic. It could give you a heart attack because it's like inhaling glue or something. You know, a few years ago, the first thing a kid would do in junior high or middle school was to smell a Sharpie marker and get a buzz in his brain. You know, and now there's all these other things kids can do to, you know, see how it feels to take this or see how it feels to try that. So I think, you know, sometimes people blame the schools for the drug use going on. This is my own personal feeling, okay? No one asked me to say this. But as I see it is that, you know, the last time I checked, there's no school officials dealing drugs to kids, okay? That parents don't know what's in their kids' pockets. They don't know what the kids are into, and the kids come onto campus with it, and they mix, you know, with each other, and that's what happens. So us being vigilant as parents and knowing what's happening with our kids, how they're doing, as Howard said, mentally and emotionally is the first part to pay attention to, because whatever's happening there will then later, if they start drifting from you or getting overly negative thoughts or feeling overwhelmed or something like that, then it'll lead to behaviors of trying something to change that internal state. So you as parents have to pay attention and get to know, how is my kid doing in their thoughts? How are they doing in their feelings about themselves, about their life, about their relationships, about a class, about a teacher, about a coach, about themselves, whatever it is. So understanding their inner self. A lot of kids don't have that developed within them. It's all, as Howard said, external focused. Achievement, accolades, how I appear to other people, how people think about me. They're not developing self-reflection, their own kind of sense of how they think, because they're running around being so overly busy and getting disconnected from us by the activity and by whatever else is going on. So we need to slow down and kind of reconnect our families more through relationship, through activities, through fun. It's an F word, it's okay. Fun. A lot of people don't have fun anymore. They're just busy, you know, trying to work, and get more. And we can never be satisfied with more. So sometimes we just have to slow down and appreciate what we have and enjoy what's before us. That concludes my talk. Thank you.